谁为爱世人愿舍身？这礼物化作活存的心灵。幸福是接受和活出这礼物的真谛，教我学习爱到痛时就如遇见主。人一生最如紧，艳阳纵使多耀眼，如若没爱，仿佛天空阻隔了光线的障幔。请洁净我心眼，长留着爱的恩泉，清澈璀璨。
三河市一個人口只有11萬嘅加拿大法語城市，蘊藏住鮮為人知嘅寶藏。真福費特力神父，一位絞盡腦汁要將耶穌基督嘅福音帶俾人嘅方濟會士，好有機會成為加拿大下一位聖人。
其實佢係一個推銷員，天主透過佢咧可以召喚好多嘅人。
I think that many people today think that the faith take off your happiness. Father Frederick shows that holy life brings us the biggest happiness because God brings this happiness to your heart.
一間本來寂寂無名嘅小聖堂，竟然成為每年有幾十萬人到訪嘅朝聖地。
The whole history of the shrine Our Lady of the Cape is a testimony of the fact that when you have faith, hope, and when you pray, something can happen.
2017年係葡萄牙花地瑪聖母顯現嘅100週年紀念，吸引大批朝聖者到訪。呢一年亦都係加拿大立國150週年。參加過各式各樣嘅慶祝活動之後，你會唔會考慮去到加拿大嘅國家聖母朝聖地，展開一趟洗滌心靈嘅旅程呢？位於三河市嘅海角聖母朝聖地係加拿大5個國家朝聖地之一，亦都係全北美洲繼墨西哥瓜達盧佩聖母朝聖地之後最大嘅聖母朝聖地。海角聖母朝聖地可以話係加拿大嘅花地瑪。
呢度我哋見到咧就係好多淵源咧，都係同聖母嘅特別係玫瑰經好密切嘅關係。呢個地方開始開發，我哋講緊18世紀早期咧，當時嘅神父已經意識到咧，呢度係一個特別為聖母特別係一個重念玫瑰經嘅地方。
This place is a place of prayer, dedicated to our Mother of Jesus. It's a place of peace, a place of prayer. Annually, we have about more than 400,000 pilgrims and tourists coming here, and people are very much interested to understand what happened here.
位於魁北克省嘅三河市起源自17世紀，嗰陣時法國人嚟到北美洲聖羅倫斯河一帶，喺1608年開拓咗魁北克市，之後就喺1634年開拓咗三河市，所以呢度係繼魁北克市之後全加拿大最有歷史嘅城市。海角聖母朝聖地貼近聖羅倫斯河北岸，除咗朝聖者之外，唔少人都中意嚟到呢度釣魚，甚至露營，享受大自然嘅美景。呢度仍然屹立住一間有超過300年歷史嘅聖堂，聖堂裏面嘅聖母像由一位教友喺1854年捐贈。呢一個聖母像更加顯過奇蹟，吸引唔少朝聖者慕名而來。海角聖母朝聖地最特別嘅景點呢，就係呢一條玫瑰經橋啦。佢係為咗紀念喺1879年發生嘅一個玫瑰經奇蹟而建成嘅。
In the 19th century, the church was a parish. At first, it was a parish dedicated to Saint Madeleine, and it was a French parish. And for some times, the parish was quite empty. People were not coming to the church anymore. So there was the pastor, a great man called Father Luc Desilets, who was a great preacher. And he made the people come back to church, but the small church was too small, effectively. So they wanted to build a bigger one.
要起新嘅聖堂，教友需要等聖羅倫斯河結冰，然後先至可以將石頭由河嘅對岸運過嚟。但係1879年嘅冬天非常溫暖，聖羅倫斯河一直都冇結冰。當時嘅主任司鐸德斯勒神父呼籲大家念玫瑰經，祈求聖母瑪利亞嘅代禱。德斯勒神父更加向聖母許諾，如果新聖堂起得成嘅話，佢哋會保留原來嘅聖堂，奉獻俾聖母。到咗3月中，奇蹟終於都發生啦。
It was on the 19th of March. There was some ice on the side of the river which just fell off at the same time, and it just got stuck just here in front of the church. And it was kind of a bridge. And people were amazed. For them it was a miracle. I would say that it's kind of a miracle, almost similar to Moses going through the Red Sea. You can imagine. People were walking on that bridge days and night. On night they were putting torch on each side with horses, sleigh, and big stones on it. Can you imagine? And they were crossing that bridge. 100 people did that. So, and we still have people around here saying to us, "Oh, my great-great-grandfather was on that bridge," you know? And it's a miracle that has a deep impact on the area, on the people around here.
呢一道冰橋足足出現咗9日9夜，俾好多人同埋載住建築材料嘅雪橇通過。喺信眾眼中，呢個絕對係個奇蹟，亦係佢哋恒心祈禱嘅結果。但喺另一啲人眼中，一切只不過係巧合。
And for the unbelievers, they were laughing. Ah, that's not a miracle. That's just coincidence. It's the same thing as in the Bible. Those who have eyes can see. Those who believe, they can understand. The others, they don't. So that's interesting.
隨住新聖堂落成，德斯勒神父亦都遵守諾言，喺1888年嘅6月22日，佢將原來嘅石建聖堂奉獻俾聖母。當日由費特力神父負責講道，佢預言呢一座教堂唔單止會成為教區嘅朝聖地，仲會成為整個加拿大嘅聖母朝聖地。就喺同一晚，聖母再一次顯奇蹟。
And what happened is, at the end of the day, he was praying Father Desilets with Father Frédéric Jansoun and another man, and they were preparing for the evening. And the three of them, they were praying in front of the statue, and they have the same testimony, the three of them, that they saw the statue open her eyes.
佢哋意識到咧，當時嘅神父咧就係呢個係特別聖母話啊，冇錯，我哋想呢度成為特別係敬禮我同埋玫瑰經嘅地方。
It was kind of a manifestation of Mary. Here, our mother has her eyes open to what we're living and praying, and she's listening, she's there, she's seeing what we're living through. And she didn't say nothing, but the sign was there.
擺放喺石建聖堂嘅聖母像，除咗顯過奇蹟之外，為加拿大人有更深一層嘅意義。1904年，三河市嘅主教代表當時嘅教宗庇護10世，為海角聖母進行加冕。喺後冠嘅底部呢，更加刻有加拿大唔同省份嘅徽章，象徵海角聖母係所有加拿大人嘅主保。
即係我哋知道全世界好多唔同嘅地方都有特別嘅聖母嘅顯現啊，或者特別嘅聖母嘅朝聖地。咁喺加拿大我哋亦都有，就係教宗咧就揀選咗呢一度，咁變咗俾我哋知道咧，聖母係亦都係我哋嘅母親，喺呢度好特別嘅一個地方。
今日喺海角聖母朝聖地，靠冰橋運送石頭而建成嘅聖堂已經睇唔到啦，因為嗰座聖堂已經喺1962年被拆卸，取而代之嘅係呢一座喺1964年落成嘅大殿。現時嘅大殿樓高38米，能夠容納1660人。大殿嘅外形、頂部嘅設計，以至建築嘅手法，都獨特咁反映呢個地方嘅歷史文化，同埋呢度作為加拿大國家聖母朝聖地嘅地位。
There's some ideas behind it. First, it has to be kind of to remember the influence of the native people. So they thought about an igloo or a tent, a big tent of reunion. Then it has to be a way to honor Mary. So at the top of it, kind of a crown. So here, the mother of Jesus is crowned Queen of Canada. And you're going to see a lot of symbols relating to that, the fact that Mother Mary here is crowned as Queen of Canada.
大殿嘅彩繪玻璃由一位嚟自荷蘭嘅神父花咗9年，用傳統嘅方法繪製。Father Pierre 特別帶攝製隊去樓上近距離欣賞呢啲彩繪玻璃。
You can see that the color, it's not just painted over it, it's inside the glass, okay? Just look at the faces of the angel. The way there's some shade, black shade inside, and there's so much detail in everything. And each piece are unique, okay? There's none which is equal to another one in the whole basilica. I think there's 9,000 pieces all around, okay? And each detail, each piece is unique. So it's an amazing work of art. It's amazing. One of the greatest thing, and it's unknown. It's a treasure here that we have at the shrine.
呢度由一間細細嘅石建教堂，到發展成為每年吸引數十萬朝聖者到訪嘅地方。費特力神父嘅功勞一啲都唔少啊，因為佢就係呢度嘅第一任朝聖統籌，喺呢度服務咗足足14年咁耐㗎。要深入認識海角聖母朝聖地，就唔能夠唔認識費特力神父。雖然佢喺1888年先至嚟到呢度服務，當時聖堂已經建堂100幾年。但係佢被視為朝聖地嘅其中一位創辦人，因為冇咗佢嘅話，好多人根本唔會知道呢度嘅存在。
咁你一嚟到咧，就已經好致力於特別喺呢個三河城嘅地方咧，就去推動信仰。特別係去嚟呢一度呢個海角聖母嘅朝聖地咧，去帶更多嘅人嚟呢度認識聖母啊、玫瑰經啊。咁佢唔係單係呼籲，而係佢去逐家逐戶啊，去好多唔同嘅城市啊，甚至全魁北克省去勻晒，好多加拿大地方佢去過，甚至落到美國。咁佢唔係淨係去呼籲，佢係甚至組織埋朝聖團，安排埋車同埋船咧，去幾百人、幾千人咁樣帶嚟，去帶人去認識聖母同埋玫瑰經嘅好處。咁呢個係好大對加拿大嘅貢獻。
海角聖母朝聖地設有露天14處嘅苦路，而最後一處呢，更加係模仿聖地耶路撒冷嘅聖母大殿而設計嘅。構思露天苦路，正係喺聖地服務咗12年嘅費特力神父。
When he came to Canada, he saw that people they didn't have the wealth and the money to go to Jerusalem. At that time, it was very, very complicated. So he thought, let's bring Jerusalem here. So he had measured all the distance, okay, of the way of the cross in Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, it's called the Via Dolorosa. And he made the same thing here, but a third of the distance.
喺苦路嘅每一處，除咗描述耶穌當時受嘅痛苦之外，亦都貼咗一幅相。相裏面描繪嘅係呢一個年代受緊同樣痛苦嘅人。朝聖者藉住苦路敬禮，默想耶穌嘅苦難，亦同時為而家受緊苦嘅人祈禱。
The meaning is that the way of the cross is still meaningful for us today. It's relevant. So people are suffering today, but us as Christians, we have a faith, we have hope, and we know that evil don't have the last word. No, Jesus won everything. He's victorious, and that's why with the way of the cross, we want to put together the story of Jesus and the modern day suffering and difficulties that we're going through at the same time. But the good news is that the way of the cross, it's always just a way. It's not the whole thing. There's an ending, and the ending is the resurrection. And for all those people suffering, we hope with them and for them.
費特力神父喺加拿大總共起咗3組露天苦路，呢3組苦路嘅最後一處都係精心設計，仿照耶穌位於耶路撒冷嘅聖墓嚟起嘅。費特力神父希望嗰啲冇辦法親身去到耶路撒冷朝聖嘅人，即使喺加拿大，都能夠透過拜苦路而深深感受到耶穌有幾愛佢哋。喺海角聖母朝聖地可以見到費特力神父留低唔少信仰嘅印記，但為咗進一步認識佢，攝製隊特別去到三河市嘅聖安多尼小堂。 呢一度係三河市方濟會嘅會院，亦都係費特力神父遺體安葬嘅地方。地庫亦都設有博物館，收藏咗唔少佢生前用過嘅物品。
What you have here are the things that he used. For instance, you have the bed, the piece of wood that he used as a bed. Notice there's no mattress or nothing. And a piece of wood he used as a pillow. If he did, because most of the time he slept on the floor as a sacrifice to God.
睇見呢件破舊嘅長衣，我哋就知道費特力神父唔單止生活簡樸，而且同聖母嘅關係相當密切。
Here you have the tunic that he wore. Okay, notice that it was mended by him with that very needle that you have just seen. Notice the M means Mary, because he was consecrated to the Virgin since he was born.
喺唔同嘅相片同畫像裏面，費特力神父睇起嚟都好瘦弱。嚟到博物館呢度，我哋終於明白點解佢咁瘦啦。
And there is also the representation of what he ate. He normally ate 1 potato and 1 or 2 pieces of bread per day as a sacrifice to God. You know, he was constantly fasting.
博物館呢度有一系列用木雕成嘅模型，描述費特力神父嘅一生。喺1838年，費特力神父出生於法國北部一個法蘭德斯裔嘅天主教家庭，喺8兄弟姊妹之中排行最細。費特力喺9歲嘅時候喪父，雖然佢學業成績優異，但係為咗幫補家計，佢唯有喺17歲嘅時候停學，成為一位紡織品推銷員。
其實喺費特力神父身上咧，我都見到咧，有時天主就好用佢嘅方法去祝福佢用我哋嘅才華。佢年輕嘅時候咧，佢未做神父之前咧，其實佢係一個推銷員。咁佢嗰陣時，你已經睇到佢有一個好特別嘅才華，好成功嘅一個推銷員。咁天主就用佢呢一個咁嘅能力咧，喺佢升咗神父之後咧，亦都喺呢一方面咧係彰顯咗天主透過佢咧可以召喚好多嘅人。
晉鐸之後，費特力神父曾經喺軍人醫院擔任院牧，亦都協助成立修院。喺佢37歲嗰年，佢被派到聖地服務。去過以色列聖地朝聖嘅人都會對於重踏耶穌嘅苦路印象深刻，但係喺歷史上有一段時間，基督徒係被禁止以苦路敬禮嘅方式嚟到懷念耶穌。基督徒而家可以喺聖地拜苦路，全靠費特力神父嘅功勞。
In 1880, he negotiated with the Muslim Arabs to celebrate again the Station of the Cross on the streets of old city of Jerusalem, which was banned since 1621. Were not allowed for us to celebrate this prayer in public. If we wanted to do it, we could only in the church, inside the church. So he was writing the letters to the Muslims, and he negotiated that we could, from 1880, once again to celebrate this, to pray the Station of the Cross, and we do until today. Until today, every Friday, Franciscan friars pray the Station of the Cross on the streets of the Jerusalem, old city of Jerusalem, and this is thanks of Father Frederick.
曾經有一段好長嘅時間，多個基督宗派為咗聖母大殿嘅管理問題引起紛爭。而家各個宗派能夠共同管理大殿，亦都係費特力神父努力嘅成果。
佢同好多唔同嘅基督徒嘅教派咧，可以簽署咗一個 agreement， 因為嗰陣時其實唔同嘅譬如東正教方面啊，或者Armenian Church 啊，或者 Coptic Church 啊，佢哋有好多唔同嘅見解，令到好多用地啊，同埋點樣去舉行唔同嘅禮儀啊，變咗好多衝突。咁佢就喺佢係嗰陣時係好重要，係去草擬咗一個 agreement 嘅。咁到依家都仍然係根據緊佢當時嘅簽署嘅。
為咗幫助聖地嘅聖堂籌募經費，費特力神父喺1881年第一次踏足加拿大。佢喺呢度深受愛戴，大家都希望佢可以再返嚟。1888年，佢正式被派嚟三河市服務，佢之後嘅生命都喺加拿大度過。費特力神父同海角聖母朝聖地關係密切，連紀念佢嘅博物館都設有石建聖堂同埋海角聖母像嘅模型。 喺聖地服務，令到費特力神父更加認識耶穌同埋聖母。而喺1888年親眼見證過聖母睜眼奇蹟之後，令到費特力神父對傳播福音嘅心火燃燒得更加旺盛。喺博物館嘅正中間係18位方濟會士嘅墓，牆上嘅畫描繪費特力神父嚟到三河市之後嘅生活。
This is when Father Frederick gave his books to the people, all right? Because Father Frederick wrote 31 books. You can see the first edition of some of them on that shelf over there. He normally went down on his knees to write the drafts.
The most famous books he wrote, he spread here in Canada before the council. The Bible was written only in Latin, and the people usually they didn't know the Bible. So he decided to write the book, the life of our Lord Jesus Christ. And this book was printed 8 times, 42,000 copies. So he had also good ideas how to help people to believe.
費特力神父口才了得，佢嘅講道亦都深受歡迎。曾經試過喺9日裏邊講過100篇講道，有一啲更加長達2個小時。
佢試過係好長嘅講道咧，啲人係唔單止係唔覺得悶啊，佢係啲人覺得佢講完有一次佢講咗4個鐘頭嘅講道咧，啲人覺得太短。咁俾我哋睇到佢個心係充滿住一個愛同埋福傳嘅火，係感動到好多人。咁同埋佢亦都透過佢嘅工作咧，係帶嚟咗好多治病嘅奇蹟嘅。咁係好多人透過佢嘅 ministry 咧，係因此咧得到釋放啊，得到天主嘅眷顧，俾佢哋疾病嘅治癒。
喺博物館有一件好特別嘅展品，係費特力神父當年用過嘅雪橇，而呢架雪橇原來亦都同一個奇蹟有關嘅。1893年3月15日，有人通知費特力神父有一個女仔就嚟病死，費特力神父去到佢屋企祝福佢。回程嘅時候，雪橇嘅車夫發現聖羅倫斯河嘅冰已經融咗大半，冰變得好薄，要過河嘅話會好危險。
Father Frederick got off the sleigh and told the boy, "You go home, I'll stay here." Okay, it was winter time, and as you can see on the painting, it was snowing and all this stuff. But the fact of the matter is that he was looking at the Virgin. So he stepped on a piece of ice and he went from one shore to the other of the St. Lawrence River, and nothing happened to him because he was in communication with the Virgin. So when I told you that he was consecrated to the Virgin, I mean it. There was a very important connection between the two of them.
熱愛聖母嘅費特力神父窮盡一生嘅精力，將人帶去耶穌嗰度。1916年，佢因為胃癌去世，享年77歲。1988年，亦即係佢見到聖母睜眼奇蹟之後嘅100年，聖若望保祿2世將佢列為真福。費特力神父將佢生命最後嘅28年奉獻俾加拿大，係因為佢對呢個國家有一份特別嘅感情。喺一封書信裏面，佢透露喺第一次嚟加拿大嘅時候，已經承諾用佢嘅餘生為呢個地方嘅福祉努力。2017年係加拿大立國150週年，加拿大嘅主教再一次將加國奉獻俾聖母，而加拿大第一次奉獻於聖母呢，係喺1947年。當時宣讀奉獻禱詞嘅更加係2位政府嘅官員。
其實睇返加拿大嘅歷史，特別係法裔人搬嚟呢度啦。咁最初法國決定嘅移民派好多送好多人過嚟呢度咧，嗰啲都係貴族嚟嘅。佢哋想呢個變成一個新嘅法國啊。咁佢哋嚟嘅唔係單係想佔領一個地方啊，或者想擴展佢哋嘅土地。好多佢哋起嘅城市啊，佢哋建造嘅嘢都係為咗福傳。佢哋嚟到見到好多呢度本身嘅加拿大人咧，即係我哋呢家叫做 First Nation 啦。佢哋係未認識天主。呢個三河市最初開始，亦都有好多傳教士透過呢一度去能夠去到安省嘅。咁俾我哋睇到一開始加拿大嗰個價值啊，好多都係建造喺天主教嘅價值觀嗰度。
In Quebec, we used to be a Catholic society. Everyone was going to Mass at some point. Nowadays, it's quite the opposite. So for me, the challenge is what Pope Francis called us to do, and before him, Holy Father Jean-Paul II, it was that we have to invest in new evangelization, which for me means that how can we make a testimony of our faith relevant and understandable for people of our time.
加拿大我哋今日見到嘅演變咧，我哋好多呢家嘅價值觀咧，都已經唔再係基督徒嘅價值觀。甚至今日你唔能夠公開咁樣去講好多天主教嘅教導啊，特別係一啲比較爭議性有關安樂死啊，或者墮胎啊，或者同性婚姻嘅時候咧，你根本就唔能夠可以公開咁暢所欲言。我哋嘅民主、我哋嘅自由咧，都受到好大嘅衝擊。唔好講我哋信仰嘅價值。咁所以呢個2017年，我哋重新再將加拿大奉獻於聖母、奉獻於天主，特別係透過加拿大我哋嘅主保，我哋特別敬禮嘅呢個海國聖母嘅呢個地方去做呢樣嘢，俾佢哋睇到我哋想重新祈求天主一直以嚟由立國，由我哋開拓呢度到現在去保守住我哋嘅呢個價值觀，天主嘅俾我哋嘅祝福，佢嘅恩寵咧，想重新邀請佢，再新一次去灌注喺我哋嘅國家裏邊，再新一次去清洗我哋，再新一次去教導我哋，去睇到真理。
And that mission, we want to carry it, not just for remembrance of the past, no, but for the future of the Quebecers, of the English-speaking Canadians, and the pilgrims from all over the world coming here. For us, it's our responsibility to carry on that treasure of the past, but to carry it in a good way for the future as well.
I'm about to release a butterfly that's going to fly 3,000 kilometers to Mexico.
我由蛋變蟲，再結蛹，再變成可以飛嘅蝴蝶，咁嗰個蛻變咧，即係好 amazing 嘅，
好刺激啊！好似真係等個 BB 出世咁樣。
Monarch Butterfly 帝王斑蝶點解會令人咁着迷呢？愛常傳帶你深入認識。睇完呢一集愛常傳，歡迎大家打我哋嘅熱線電話嚟分享一下你嘅感受或者故事，同時亦請收聽我哋逢星期六嘅電台節目《愛生命》。要購買天主教書籍同信仰靈修禮品，請嚟我哋嘅生命恩泉書社參觀選購。我哋下星期同樣時間再見，天主保佑。